Let me clean these damn glasses. Make me look like someone who actually knows what the fuck he's talking about. Alright. Forgot I had one last TV rec to take care of. Yay for notes. It's, the first one was from Amazon, Good Omens. Second one was from Netflix, When They See Us. And this is one I finished a couple of weeks ago on Hulu called The Looming Tower. It's a miniseries that's 10 episodes long, and it's not new, it's new-ish. It came out last year. Yeah, last year. In fall of last year. And it's primarily set between the late 90s and the early to mid 2000s. Its primary conflict, as it were, is, well, besides counterterrorism, which is a lot of what the story is about, fighting terrorism abroad in the late 1990s, is between the FBI and the CIA as far as shifting information back and forth on what to do about imminent threats. As far as characters go and character development, about half the names used for the characters are real, and the other half or so are compact, or what's called composite characters, where they have one actor, let's say played by, what's his name? Bill Camp. He's a great actor. He is supposedly based on like 3 or 4 different people. So especially if it's like government agents and there's not certain names they want to keep, or there's certain names they don't want to just put out there, they'll have a character that's an amalgamation of like a few different people, so that they have different personalities to interchange with just one person, so they don't have to just work off of one. The other one, I forget the actress's name, but the main girl at the CIA, I believe she's also a composite character. She's based on a few different people. Speaking of characters, though, again, if you wonder what I'm looking down at, writing shit down helps you forget, helps you remember. See? I'm already fucking up. Acting in this is first rate across the board, especially Jeff Daniels, who plays John O'Neill, who is the head of the FBI's counterterrorism unit. And they, at this point, were detecting threats from Al-Qaeda and what would then be the Taliban. Is it pronounced Taliban or Taliban? I'm not sure. But there are scenes where, I was going to say, Jeff Daniels, Michael Stuhlbarg, who's very good in this, Peter Sarsgaard, you hate his character pretty much from the get-go. He is just such a smarmy piece of shit. He works in the CIA's, I believe what's called their ALEC program, in their counterterrorism unit, and from the get-go, he almost comes off as childish and petty, because he's always got his arms crossed. He's always denying the, forwarding of the info that they're supposed to be trading with the Federal Bureau, like they were supposed to. And I know a lot of based on true story adaptations play a lot of fast and loose with the facts, but as far as this goes, I believe one of the main executive producers behind it was Alex Gibney, who is a fantastic documentarian. And speaking of, Peter Sarsgaard and Alec Baldwin is also in this. He plays the George Tenet or something like that, the head of the CIA at the time. And they have transcripts from actual hearings that were used for some of the dialogue, most times verbatim, like pretty much word for word what the people portrayed actually said and did. Especially a couple of scenes in particular. One in a congressional hearing. It's not the exact same setting, but it's pretty much the exact same words and dialogue, beat for beat. Uh, and another one later where they use a lot of stock footage, not just for 9/11 later, but a lot of news detail about other attacks and other big stuff in the news that happened in the 90s. I really liked how it wasn't, dead serious 100% of the time. Like, they're actually, even though it is an ultra depressing subject, obviously so, considering the source material, there actually is some light touches and some use of dark humor and acidic wit in this, especially and particularly from Jeff Daniels, John O'Neill, who is a very no bullshit, take no prisoners attitude kind of guy. And the way his story ends is, for anybody who knows who that person is, it is just unfortunate is like a understatement of the lowest regard. It's fucking tragic what ended up happening to him. And there's a lot of other use of dialogue in this that makes this not just gripping entertainment-wise, but gripping in the true sense. So it seemed like, as far as the storyline is concerned, it seemed like the FBI, as far as it's detailed in the show at least, was more combative in the sense of counterterrorism here. It seemed the CIA was more, I don't know if I want to use standoffish as a word, but more defensive and less on the offensive. They seemed like they wanted to reserve their information more, and they were very, very picky and choosy about what types of details that they would share and what they wouldn't share. And for most of the, sorry, I'm rearranging shit here. For most of the time, it seemed like they didn't like sharing shit at all. And there were other agents inside the CIA like, we need to forward this, and they were actively prevented from doing so. It essentially shows the worst case scenario of what happens when internal conflict within government bodies designed for security, strategical defense properties, and the overall protection of America overrides the importance of much more serious matters at hand. Political shit aside, politics aside, the primary difference it shows between that time period, between the presidencies of Bill Clinton and George W. Bush, was that in the late 90s, intelligence communities were pressuring alerts to the media and the press to take terrorism overseas more seriously. Like, oh, these are serious stories. People need to know about these things. But they were pretty enveloped between, I want to say either 98 or 99, with 99 Y2K and 98 the whole Monica Lewinsky shit and all that BS and the media takeover of that. They pretty much, every news outlet put major focus on that and detracted from a whole lot of other things. And the Bush administration's main difference was that they had a heightened threat level. So they had some sort of a color code change, and there was heightened security threats after the final installment shows it, after the events on September 11th. For the life of me, I can't remember the actual person's name, but the guy Michael Stuhlbarg plays goes up to, and once again, it's the other way around. I can't remember the actress's name, but I know she's playing Condoleezza Rice. Stuhlbarg's character, he tells him, we have to alert the president about this terrorist threat, and she responds, Donald Rumsfeld wants this to be associated with Iraq, and he just stands there like, I beg your fucking pardon. Like, it really kind of blows your mind how just twisty and turny, a lot of political loopholes and jump throughs can be, and how difficult it is to understand how all of that works internally. But yeah, it may not have been perfect as a whole, but it's still a really good miniseries. Like if there's one thing I gotta write down, it's actors' names. There's one actor that I loved in this, and I can't remember his fucking name. But he's the actor who played, and he's one of the most important characters in this too, Ali Soufan, the main FBI counterterrorism agent, who Muslim American, and he is put on John O'Neill's team to help with tracking Bin Laden, and Bin Laden plays a huge part in this too. Not just detailing the 9/11 and its prelude and aftermath, but also what happened after the first World Trade Center attack in the early 90s, and then what happened at the 2 embassies in Africa when those were attacked. And there was someplace else that was bombed. I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, it was a ship. I forget what it was off the coast of, but some they had a whole beginning of an episode detailing how this young boy was radicalized because pretty much his entire family and friends were droned and they were bombed out of existence, and he got brought into an insurgent camp. He was convinced to get on this boat and drive into this big ship and blow it up, and I'm not sure how many people died from that, but it details that and a couple of other terrorist attacks and the behind the scenes in government as to what went down after those things happened and whether or not they were easily preventable. So yeah, overall, like I said, not perfect, but a damn good miniseries. And the last miniseries I remember watching on Hulu was the Stephen King adaptation with James Franco, 11/22/63. And I remember really liking it and absolutely loving the ending. It was one of those endings that's like, get you kind of emotional. But this one actually, the way it portrays 9/11 itself, it's not as angering as much as it is enlightening and insightful. It has a lot of detail, but it doesn't get real jingoistic about things, for lack of a better word. It dual serves as an engrossing docudrama as well as a highly gripping political thriller. So anybody interested in real world stories, political drama, if you're interested in stories about international spy stuff, espionage, counterterrorism, stuff like that. But I believe it is based on a book, but it's a nonfiction book. And the book is actually also called The Looming Tower. The dialogue is very good. It's actually paced very well, too. For a 10-episode miniseries with each one being almost an hour long, it's got really good pacing, and it has enough to keep you drawn in. So I highly recommend it. And out of the typical 5-star thing, for lack of a better, like, arbitrary rating system or what have you, out of 5 stars, it'd be a solid 4 once again. And yeah, for anybody with a Hulu account, I highly suggest you give it a try. So yeah, Looming Tower, 4 out of 5. Good stuff. 10 episodes. The acting, aside from the factual detail, is by far the best account of it. So, as far as reviews here go, that would be about it for that. And thank God I made this shorter than the last two. I'm trying to make these more compressed and more short and sweet and straight to the point. You get the fuck I'm trying to say. Anywho, y'all have a good day.